Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are cracking open what is basically the ultimate superhero training manual. But listen, we aren't flipping through comic books for this one. Instead, we're digging deep into ancient texts and modern science to help you figure out how to master the universe right inside your own mind. Whether you're a young learner just trying to navigate the everyday struggles of school and growing up, or honestly just an inquisitive mind looking for a solid guide to the art of living peacefully, this explainer is absolutely for you. Let's get right into it. So let me ask you a question right off the bat to get us thinking. What actually makes someone a true superhero? Like, is it a cape, laser vision, the ability to fly? Well, actually, true heroism has absolutely nothing to do with physical superpowers or fighting imaginary monsters. It turns out it's way, way deeper than that. To really understand our own potential, we actually have to go all the way back to the very creation of the universe itself. Think about the totally staggering parallels between our modern understanding of the cosmos and ancient Vedic texts. It's kind of mind-blowing. On one side, you have the Big Bang Theory, right? It tells us that our universe originated from this single, impossibly dense point. Just imagine the entire universe packed into a single, incredibly hot marble before it rapidly expanded. But then, on the other side, we have the Nasadaya Sukta from the Rig Veda, which thousands of years ago described the origin of everything as emerging from darkness wrapped in darkness, born of the primal power of heat. I mean, they both point to the exact same awe-inspiring origin of our highly interconnected universe. You see, the cosmos isn't just some abstract thing out there in space. You are fundamentally a part of it. Now, zoom all the way in from the vast cosmos down to the microscopic world. Modern quantum physics has discovered this incredible thing called the observer effect. It essentially suggests that the mere act of observing a quantum system actually forces it to pick a definite state. It's kind of like a spinning coin finally deciding to land on heads or tails just because you looked at it. And what's wild is that this perfectly mirrors the Bhagavad Gita's teaching that our underlying consciousness is primary and that it connects every single one of us. The solid, everyday world we see is really a manifestation of a much deeper, interconnected web. So how do we actually tap into that crazy cosmic connection and awaken our inner hero? Well, the Katha Upanishad tells us we have to seek out higher knowledge. Now, we all spend a ton of time acquiring lower knowledge. Things like studying for math tests or memorizing historical facts, which, hey, is totally great and necessary. But higher knowledge? That's the kind of deep understanding that helps you figure out who you truly are, how to find lasting peace, and how to operate in a world that's honestly full of doubts and daily struggles. Gaining this higher knowledge, though, means making the right choices every single day. There's this amazing story from the Katha Upanishad about a brave kid named Nachiketa. He literally faced the god of death to learn the truth. He was taught that life constantly offers us two paths: Preya, which is the path of immediate pleasure, basically whatever is easy, and Shreya, the path of goodness and doing what is right even when it's incredibly hard. Every true hero has to choose Shreya. It's like skipping the easy, temporary dopamine hit of playing video games when you know deep down you should be helping your family or finishing up your homework. And that brings us to the very core of our superhero manual, Chapter 16 of the Bhagavad Gita. It's called Devasura Sampad Vibhag Yog, which, is a pretty massive mouthful, but it essentially means the yoga of discriminating between the divine and the demoniac natures. You can think of it as the ultimate field guide for spotting the inner heroes and villains that are battling it out inside your own mind every single day. Because we all have both inside us, right? The secret is just learning which ones to feed and which ones to defeat. When you stack these opposing traits up against each other, the differences are just stark. The Devi Sampad, or divine qualities, are things like fearlessness, truthfulness, and compassion. These are your absolute superhero shields. They were perfectly embodied by figures like Lord Rama, who stayed totally calm and did what was right even when he was unjustly exiled. But on the flip side, we have the Asuri Sampad, the demonic qualities. We're talking extreme pride, anger, and greed. These are the destructive ego traps that historically brought down incredibly powerful villains in ancient stories, like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu. It just goes to show that power without humility is literally a fast track to destruction. So the really crucial point here is learning how to actually use these everyday superpowers. It all starts with apayam, which means fearlessness. But wait, remember, true fearlessness isn't carelessly standing in front of a wild tiger. It's taking brave, cautious, and right action in your daily life. Then you have Dhanam, the power of sharing. And no, that doesn't mean giving away millions of dollars. It's as simple as sharing your lunch, lending a pen to a classmate who forgot theirs, or even just offering a genuine smile to someone having a rough day, all without expecting a single thing in return. I love this story that shows these powers in action. It's about a boy named Dombia. One day, his mother brought home this delicious sweet called Peta. His brothers immediately started demanding their share without having done anything to help out. But Dombia, he had already gone to the store for his mother, showing respect. When he finally got his sweets, he didn't just greedily devour them. He actually broke his portion into little pieces, giving some to his brothers, some to his parents, and then, when a beggar knocked at the door, he gave away the very piece he had saved for himself. This perfectly demonstrates Dhamma, controlling our senses, combined with Dhanam, which is generously sharing with others, even when our own mouth is totally watering.
And that incredible self-control naturally builds our understanding of another superpower, tapa. Sometimes people hear tapa or penance and they think, oh, I have to go stand in freezing water high up in the Himalayas. But that is definitely not the case for us. Tapa is simply everyday self-control. It's waking up just a little bit earlier to focus your mind, or willingly giving up the TV remote to a younger sibling without starting a massive shouting match. It's that daily, quiet discipline that polishes your mind so your inner light can really shine.
Next up on the hero roster are Arjavam and Satyam, which translate to straightforwardness and truthfulness. Look, it is always easier to tell a lie in the moment, right? If you forgot to do your homework, the path of Preya, that easy path we talked about, is to just fake a stomachache. But embodying Satyam means having the hero's courage to tell the truth. You admit you forgot, you face the slight scolding, and you completely avoid getting tangled up in this stressful, complicated web of lies that, let's be honest, only ruins your own peace of mind anyway. All right, we've talked about the hero stuff, but now we've got to confront the inner villains directly. The Gita specifically warns us of the 3 gates to hell: unchecked desires or lust, anger, and greed. These 3 things are the absolute quickest ways to destroy your own happiness and become your own worst enemy. Just think of the greedy King Duryodhana from the Mahabharata. His unchecked greed and anger for power pushed his entire world into a devastating war, even though he fully knew better. We have to constantly guard these 3 gates in our own minds. And part of guarding those gates means completely steering clear of hinsa, or violence. Now, obviously, we all know hinsa is physical fighting on the playground. But what's fascinating here is that hinsa is also mental violence. When a strict teacher gives you a bad grade and you sit there secretly wishing terrible things upon them, that is mental violence. And it honestly only poisons your own mind. Instead, the hero practices ahimsa, which is absolute nonviolence in thought, word, and deed. Because, let me tell you, when we give in to that mental violence, it leads straight to krodha, or anger. As the scriptures say, anger is literally like getting fried in a massive wok of boiling oil right inside your own head. It burns you from the inside out way before it ever touches anyone else. But you can absolutely defeat this villain. When you feel that heat rising, use a super practical trick. Just stop, breathe, and count backward from 100 to 1. It forces your mind to cool down and helps you regain your sense of control. Once you cool off that anger, you actually make room for the ultimate heroic traits. A true hero wields the power of daya, which is compassion for all living beings. This means actively looking out for animals, protecting nature, and helping those who are more vulnerable than us. And we pair this with mardavam, a gentle nature. This means we completely reject those toxic, villainous habits of bullying, teasing, or patientum, which is constantly finding faults in others and tucking behind their backs. All right, so how do we put all of this together into a real, everyday art of living peacefully? Here is your daily action plan, your official superhero training regimen. Wake up early, read a verse of wisdom from the Gita. Consciously practice self-control in your interactions. Look for at least one opportunity to share with someone else today. And finally, incorporate this beautiful lesson from the Isha Upanishad. Be completely grateful for life, treating everything you have as a divine gift rather than something you need to fiercely hoard. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final, incredibly empowering thought. The exact same energy that sparked the Big Bang and dances in the quantum fields, it is literally alive inside your own consciousness. You already have the ultimate instruction manual for peace and clarity. So the only question left for you is, which divine superpower are you going to activate today to conquer your inner villains? Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and I challenge you to go out there and be the hero of your own life.